And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and the spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, and rolls through all things. After weeks of it, months, even years, this will fold in on itself like the cardboard pages of a picture pop-up book. The church in the centre of the field, snug beneath greening trees. A path falling over the meadow to dip its gravel in the lake. The lake and its swans and half-sunk logs, thin clouds of sundown flies, the walled garden and the counting of flowers. When I leave, all of this will collapse in on itself as I turn the page and turn away. So much learned, and in such a short space of time, time which, at times, has had the depth of universes, but equally has been the snap of a dry twig underfoot. It has expanded, this place, grown like a range of mountains between clouds, but then fizzled away into the late afternoon rain. Flowers have hatched here, swans nested. The grass of the meadow has deepened and thickened. Trees have smiled and begun leaves. There was a snowfall which I shovelled, and puddles of ice-cold rain. But there was a warm and yellow sun, too, proud above the wolds, and the sharp slates of a church roof in the morning, and the tang of the sex of flowers. I choose words to confess my thoughts, not colours or music, but words cannot convey these impressions and these learnings. Out there in that world, I was a something that belonged, a part defined by the machinery that cogged and trundled around it. This was a purpose because the whole had a purpose, and the larger whole which it was within had a purpose. But as the wheels turning became larger and larger, soon you see a wheel as if in the sky, the turning of white clouds through an afternoon, the circling of a sun in super slow motion. And when you get that big view and meaning, it cannot sustain, can it? And it thins and dissolves into distant nothings, until eventually it returns back through you, not stopping, to a buttercup's petals searching the sun's rays, a cold lick of lake water on a stretched finger, a particle on a beach. What I mean is heaven in a grain of sand. And so waiting is no longer waiting. Waiting is instead being. Time is no longer ticking. Time is always. And everywhere is nowhere and is endless. Everything happens here like it has to and it must. Everything is always ready. It being this, you are never worried or disappointed. But it happened, and then, my elsewhere, it will have happened. And sure, another thing might have happened instead, but maybe that is still to happen, or maybe not. And sometimes I still think I did not want all of this, but it happened anyway. But this is the perfect place to be for where I did not want to be and where I didn't want things to happen. Years ago I crumbled, and each day into that crumbling I was expecting normal again, like grass growing, flowers popping, warmth building into sunny afternoons of June. but I never got back that normal. Then there was a summer lane I remember, hedged and crooked, but as I looked down it, it was like I'd lost it forever, and I would never have its simple beauty, never again be excited by the mystery of its being and where it led. At the same time I spoke about an egg hatching, or a snake shedding its skin, a sticky black bud peeling into a rose. But I never got what I promised myself I would get, the wisdom of a rose unfurling into the sunshine. What happened was that real life recommenced. Aeroplanes, mountains, classrooms, people, places, a cacophony of sweating and serious and sweet experiences, but never the rose. The man who leaves you was the boy and the older boy who built castles on the beach and cathedrals, fuck off massive things, while others, adults, stared out at the waves, waiting for the waves. The man who leaves you is a boy who was a man, and a boy because what I know now and always did is it is a fallacy of motorway time, train time, and even canal time. The farce of believing that we move from B to D, birth to death, as if passengers taken by the engine of other, sitting kickback or on hard seats, straight or curving, but always a beginning and an ending. This is a myth of life and lives. Time is a monster that we have made, and now it controls, and we accept as common as breath or rain that it is a line from B to D. But try this instead. There is no time, only growth, and we grow from the pip or seed or kernel, and we put out tissue leaves, then other leaves, greener and deeper, and a flower, and always outward probing the air like a waking limb, but retaining the pip and core and flower, and everything is alive, and the whole is one not in time, but despite time. So the baby and the man and the boy, ever present, it is not separate never, one being. Wisdom is the knowledge that death affirms life. Wisdom is the knowledge that birds sing because they do. Grass grows because it does. Swans mate, the sun rises and sets, and clouds build and dissolve because everything happens. Wisdom is the disillusion of time. After weeks of it, months, even years, this will fold in on itself like the cardboard pages of a picture pop-up book. The church in the corner of the field, snug beneath greening trees. A path falling over the meadow to dip its gravel in the lake. The lake and its swans and half-sunk logs and thin clouds of sundown flies. The walled garden and the counting of flowers. When I leave, all of this will collapse in on itself as I turn the page and turn away.